7 Days to Die is an open world zombie survival game. And since it's an open world game and it's covered in blocks, it of course has chunks. A chunk in 7 Days to Die is an 80 meter by 80 meter square. What that translates to is 80 blocks by 80 blocks. That's a pretty large square, I'm sure you'll agree, but your world is of course made of thousands of these squares. But with that in mind, with a visualization of a chunk, how many zombies do you think 7 Days to Die, the open world zombie survival game, will attempt to spawn in this 80 by 80 square? I'll give you a second to think about it. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 8. The answer, dear viewer, is one solitary zombie. Just one. Now if we drag that out across an entire town like this one, this is a pretty decently sized forest town, and ignore the commercial part for now and just focus on this part of the town here, the residential area. It's made up of about 6 of these chunks. So in this entire little town area here with all these houses and stuff, we have 6 zombies wandering the streets, not including the ones indoors of course, but I have more to say on that in a moment. But out on the streets that you will encounter at any given moment, if you were to stand in the middle with feral sense on and blast your shotgun into the sky, how many zombies would come running? The answer, roughly 6. That is not very interesting, in my opinion. Now keep that in mind. There is another half of the town here. This part of the town is mostly made up of commercial buildings, and this is part of the commercial zone in 7 Days to Die spawning mechanics. Now, that 80 by 80 square I showed you will only ever spawn one zombie in it, and that is true regardless of the biome. So burned forest, if it's not commercial, downtown, or industrial, it's still just one zombie all the way up to the wasteland, and at night, one zombie. These zones, commercial, industrial, and downtown, have different spawning rules, but they're still no more flattering to the game, I would say. Here in the pine forest, you're never going to find an industrial or downtown zone in a random world gen, so we're only going to focus on commercial, which is this stuff here, these wider roaded areas you see there over by the church and this motel and stuff. The maximum amount of zombies that can spawn in that square, if you were to place the square dead center on that town over there, assuming it was nighttime because there's more spawns at night, is a grand total of 3. So if we assume this big part of the town here is probably a good like 10-12 of those squares in the commercial part of it anyway. Let's just call it 10 for round number's sake. So at night there are 30 zombies in this big part of the town, and realistically most of them are going to be too far away to even use feral sense to draw lots of them near to you. I think you'll agree that's pretty fucking lame. Still, realistically, you're going to be on the ground at this level, you're going to be able to walk around like this and not see zombies all the time in a zombie game. Look, I haven't done anything to this town. I spawned in, built that square, and then came here. There's no zombies. This is a vanilla town. There's none. There's probably a zombie somewhere. They're probably hiding behind one of the buildings. Maybe I used a kill all command there and forgot about it. Let's see if this part of that. There's one zombie. Zombie businessman. And there's a zombie Arlene. And there's a zombie Yo over there. And a zombie Yo over there. So we've got 4 zombies. And if I turn off the AI commands, you can see one of them because he happens to have spawned there. He's right there if you can just barely see him, because the zombies do tend to spawn far away from the player, and that is because zombies are in such small amounts in every biome. Now, I know what you're wondering, what is like the wasteland downtown like at night? That's the worst, right? Wasteland downtown at night is where the zombies are that they're most populous. Well, let's head over. Here is a lovely chunk of wasteland downtown, and let's make it night. And let's give the game a couple of seconds here to spawn in some zombies, because it won't happen instantly, of course. I'm just going to wander around and see how bad it gets. Oh, and just because I know people will, like, make comments about it, the day and your game stage has no bearing on the spawning of these zombies at all. They are not affected by that kind of thing. That is purely wandering hordes and zombies inside of buildings. Alright, so we've gave it a minute or two here to spawn in zombies around me. If we zoom out, you'll see a decent amount of zombies for sure, but still relatively sparse. And again, we're only even able to see them because I have my AI up here so we can see their names. If we turn that off and have a look around, at any given moment, I can see, what, 6 zombies? They're all really far away from me. Of course, we got him, that guy. There's a dire wolf down there who I'm going to count as a zombie, although the game doesn't count it as a zombie, it counts it as an animal. Same with that zombie bear, in terms of spawning anyway. There's 2 zombies down there, 1 there. There's like 5 zombies in the densest part of the wasteland at night. This is as bad as it gets, and that is because the maximum amount of zombies per chunk in this part of the world is still only 4. So the number of zombies is actually only 1 worse than a commercial area in the forest biome at night. It really isn't that bad. Of course, the wasteland does have the wonderful advantage of having a horrifying cast of zombies to spawn for you, so it is a little bit different, but it's still a relatively sparsely populated biome. Hey buddy. So I have made a mod because I find this lack of zombies boring, and there's a reason as well. I think the Fun Pimps have spent the last few years making this game a lot more convoluted in its progression because they refuse to make it a real zombie game. They refuse to make zombies the limiting factor to the player. What I mean by that is, you spawn in on day 1 and you find a gun store. You go in there and all you find is dog shit pipe weaponry. That is because the Fun Pimps refuse to make zombies a credible enough threat that they can have risk versus reward progression that would allow you to spawn in, go straight to a gun store, fight for your life, and get your guns. Now there's a million reasons why that may be the case, and the number one reason is most likely actually just performance. They want it to run on consoles. Consoles can't run much of this game at all as it is, even with its 1 zombie per 80 meters rule. So we pay that price by having boring, arbitrary progression that doesn't make any sense. If you spawned in on day 1 with a player who's never played the game before right next to a gun store and they said, hey, let's break into that gun store and get some guns, you'd have to put your hand on their shoulder and say, buddy, this ain't that type of game, because you can't get anything other than pipe dog shit on day 1. If 7 Days to Die had actually difficult zombies, or more appropriately, if zombies in the streets were a real threat to you, there would be a way to stop you from getting really good stuff regardless. And in my opinion, zombies should be the major limiting factor to your progression in a zombie game. They should be the barrier to your progression, not arbitrary things like loot stage, trader stage, crafting ability, although I do enjoy having a progression system in crafting anyway, and indeed I wouldn't want to spawn in, go to a gun store and find a level 6 auto shotgun immediately, but there is most certainly a middle ground between what we have and what I just said. So in my quest to make 7 Days to Die a more survival sandbox game, I've been making mods, and today I have made another one that should pair quite nicely with the mod I made a couple of days ago that allows you to find basic guns and tools and stuff like that just on day 1 if you go to the right place. Oh, a wandering horde, hello. And yeah, there's another problem with 7 Days to Die. That's your wandering horde. It's like 8 people. And that's one of the worst wandering hordes. I believe the highest wandering horde quantity you'll find in 7 Days to Die is 11, which is lame as hell, and they're all just running straight into that cracker-book for some reason. So my other mod I made lets you get guns out of police cars and stuff, and of course that's quite easy. So I needed to make a mod to balance out the difficulty so that there was something to stop you from A, having enough ammo to just stomp the game with your guns, and B, something to slow you down so that you have a harder time getting between POIs to get to your good guns and stuff. So I have made a mod, and it's very reminiscent of 2 existing mods, Guns, Nerds and Steel's Hellish Hordes, and More Zombies per Biome. Now these are 2 fantastic mods that I highly recommend playing if they interest you. Guns, Nerds and Steel's Hellish Hordes makes hordes much more dangerous. I believe the largest horde you can find in his mod is 45 zombies, which is quite considerable, I'm sure you'll agree. But it doesn't do everything the way I specifically would want it, and that's the beauty of modding, is if you agree with that sentiment, well, you can download my mod. And More Zombies per Biome is a mod that multiplies the amount of zombies you find by quite a bit. But I do find that I don't quite like how it's implemented once again. Again, nothing against these mods, they're fantastic, it's just not specifically what I want. And since I've learned how to mod, why would I settle for anything less than specifically how I want it to be? So rather than a flat 2, 4, 8, 16, whatever modifier to the amount of zombies, I have made a sliding scale of the amount of zombies you will encounter in 7 Days to Die, such that the forest biome will still be relatively chill and the wasteland biome will be disproportionately not chill, because it multiplies the zombies in the forest biome by a different quantity from the number it modifies the wasteland, increasing the variety of the amount of zombies you will encounter, such that if you want really, really big amounts of zombies, you go to the hardest biome in the game and you fight them. So let's take a look at the mod and everything I've done with it. So we're here in a world with my mod installed, and there's that region where the chunk was before. You can visualize it over the various parts of the map here. It's not got the exact same thing because it takes me like 10 minutes to make that because I manually place all the blocks. I'm not doing it again. You get the point. So what does my mod do? Well, it does a variety of things that make it quite distinct from the 2 mods I mentioned. The first one is it changes wandering hordes such that they are all 2.5 times larger, except for the special hordes. Things like zombie dogs, zombie wolves, zombie bears, zombie vulture hordes. I have not multiplied the size of those because ultimately they're annoying enough as it is. I want more zombies in my zombie game, not more weird other things. And Guns, Nerds, and Steel's Hellish Hordes does specifically change the amount of zombies, or I suppose animals, that do spawn in those hordes. And that's one of the reasons I didn't quite want to use that. I wanted something that gave me more zombies per zombie. So, and that's a very simple part of the mod. The main part of the mod is that it changes the multiplier of zombies. And you can see, if you're paying attention, you can see there's a lot more zombies already, and that's good. It changes the amount of zombies in the forest biome by a 6 times multiplier. So in that square over there, instead of being 1 zombie, it could be up to 6. And in this commercial area here at night, instead of being 3 zombies, it could be up to 18 zombies, which is far more of a credible threat across a larger thing like this. We come over here, we can see a couple of zombies wandering around. That 6 times multiplier is just allowing more zombies to spawn. And I've turned Feral Sense on just for demonstration purposes. We fire a shotgun here during the day. You'll see that a good amount of zombies are making their way over to the noise here. They're going to attack that lamppost because I'm floating, obviously. But you can see there's 4 or 5 zombies who've been drawn over, plus that crawler is trying to get here. And yet, oh, there's a few more. There's 2 mows and another crawler coming over. So like there's like 8 zombies coming for you, which is a lot more than it would be in vanilla. But it's really not all that crazy either, is it? I mean, it's just 8 zombies. Not hard to deal with 8 zombies, but that is why my mod differs from the more zombies per biome mod. Rather than a flat rate across the entire game, you have it so that you have the least zombies in the forest biome, and it scales up gradually such that you get 6 times as many zombies in the forest biome, 7 times as many zombies in the burned forest, 8 times as many zombies in the desert, 9 times as many zombies in the snow biome, and 10 times as many zombies in the wasteland. It could have been 16, but I know a lot of people have played with the 16 times variant of that mod, and the problem is that it becomes very, very tedious when it's 16 times as many zombies. Unbelievably tedious to clear. You can see just here during the day, I shot a shotgun with Feral Sense on, and there's like 9 or 10 zombies coming after me. That's good. That's how many zombies it should be. If you did this in vanilla, you'd have 2 or 3 if you're lucky. Now, in the interest of not making this video an hour long, I'm not going to show you the differences in every biome. Just know it's 6 times in this biome, 7 in the burnt, 8 in the desert, 9 in the snow, and wasteland is 10 times. But we can definitely show you the other end of the spectrum here by going straight to the wasteland downtown at night. Alright, so I left this running for like literally 3 minutes, and I just stood here, and the zombies are already coming at me quite considerably. What's that, like 12 zombies? Not exactly 10 times, I'm sure you'll agree, but it is more than in the forest. If I fire my shotgun, I suspect that we will draw even more attention to me. And sure enough, you can see more zombies are coming in. Look at them all just coming at me. Yep, there's zombies on the rooftops, apparently. And there's zombies, indeed, there's zombies stuck in this POI. That is something to notice when you're in the downtown. Quite a lot of the time, the zombies just get stuck on other buildings, but they'll make their way to you eventually. And if I just keep firing here, you'll see that it most definitely is a lot more zombies than it was before, where we could wander through the wasteland and see 1 or 2 zombies on every block. I stood here and half these zombies appeared. I shot my gun and even more are coming in just as I stand here. So the wasteland at night is like horrifying. You don't want to go there at downtown at the very least. I did a quick chunk check there, and there's about 20 or 30 zombies alive right now, and you can see more of them are just spawning in over here. I shoot my shotgun. They might. I think they're just out the feral sense radius. Yep, here they come. Just loads of zombies. At the point where 7 Days Die won't even be able to control all of these at a certain point. But you won't notice that when you're playing because you'll be dealing with this. So as you kill them, more will appear. So yeah, there's zombies in your zombie game now. Kill off all of those. Look at the absolute pile of zombies I'm dealing with. So here we are, I'm level 17, it's day 23. It's a good game stage to be at for showing off this. So if we spawn a quick wandering horde, they'll be coming in somewhere. Oh yeah, indeed. Here's some of the horde, and the other half of the horde is actually just kind of not even sure what to do right now, but that's because they just take a few seconds to initialize. That boar just spawned there randomly. It's not part of the wandering horde. And yeah, you can see a wandering horde now. It's a horde. It's not a huge horde. I don't have like 40 plus size zombie hordes. There are mods for that on the Nexus if that's the kind of thing you want, but if this showed up, you would be concerned. Regardless of where you are, wasteland, forest biome, like that's a lot of zombies to take on. Now don't worry, not every wandering horde is this size. This is probably one of, if not the biggest wandering horde you will encounter in my mod. But it's the size that it's not a joke. The smallest wandering horde in vanilla, I believe, is 4 zombies, and the largest, I think, is 11. In my mod, the absolute smallest is 10 zombies, and the largest is 28 zombies. So nothing crazy, nothing that's going to destroy your performance, but you're going to care when this comes along. You're not going to be ignoring it, that's for damn sure. And indeed, if you still think this isn't hard enough with all these extra zombies, I would highly suggest you play with the default menu settings like zombie speed, feral sense, difficulty, until it's hard enough to make sense, because the limiting factor shouldn't be your ability to go into a gun store and get guns. You should make the zombies harder until getting to the gun store is an operation. That's my personal philosophy on how progression should be done in a zombie survival game. If you're interested in this mod, it will be linked in the description. I will also link the other mods I've made, which you can take a look at and install alongside them. They are all compatible with each other, don't worry about that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this mod if you use it. Let me know if there's any problems with it, and I'll see you in the next video.